Hello, my name is Gary Marks, and this presentation is for Computer Security, Cyber 332, Section 50, with Professor Jennifer Grant at Metropolitan State University. And we will be covering data breaches today. What are they, how they happen, what effects they have, preventive measures, how you can tell if you have been affected by a data breach laws, and what to do if a data breach occurs under your watch, along with a demonstration of a proper public notice. This presentation and demonstration is solely for educational purposes, and neither I nor Metropolitan State University are liable for any damages that could be caused due to uses outside of this video. All right, let's begin. So, what is a data breach? A data breach is a security incident in which sensitive, confidential data, either personal or corporate, has been accessed by an unauthorized party, either purposefully or accidentally. This can include personally identifiable information, financial data, or other sensitive data, such as corporate trade secrets and intellectual property, like Mr. Krabs' secret Krabby Patty formula, for example. Data breaches can occur in various forms, including physical and digital. Some examples can include unauthorized access of a computer system after an employee leaves their password on a sticky note, malware infiltration, ransomware attacks, denial of service attacks, and etc. Data breaches can occur due to human error, system glitches, insider threats, or cyber attacks. According to the Verizon 2020 Data Breach Investigations Report, during 2019 alone, more than 3,905 known data breaches occurred. Financial organizations were at the top of that list, being 11% of all data breaches. The outcomes of a data breach can weigh heavily on an organization, costing the organization through legal penalties, reputational damage, financial losses, and loss of customer trust. According to one report in 2021, the average data breach cost for small and medium companies was $178,000 between 2014 and 2018, plus $112,000 in average service costs and $181,000 in legal fees. In 2022, the United States averaged $9.44 million in losses due to data breaches. The financial losses combined with reputational and credibility damage and loss of customer trust and loyalty, which can be hard to build back, can be quite severe. But no pressure. So then let's get to preventive measures. Some common prevention measures for data breaches are encryption, access controls, regular software updates, employee training, having an incident response plan, and having a risk management plan. Encryption helps to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data by scrambling data so that it can only be read by authorized parties. Implementing access controls is also an important tool in preventing data breaches. A couple examples of this are implementing multi-factor authentication and having least privilege access, which is a security principle that restricts user access to only the resources and permissions required for a user to perform their job duties. Keeping employees educated on best practices for data security and in the identification of threats, specifically in social engineering attempts, will help to prevent human error that can cause sensitive data to get in the hands of malicious actors. Having a well-designated, a well-designed incident response plan in place can help you respond quickly and effectively to a data breach and minimize any damage caused. According to the CISA, a good incident response plan includes training your staff. All employees should understand their roles and know how to report suspicious events. It is recommended to be gracious when people report false alarms to encourage continued reporting. You should reward people who come forward to report suspicious events. You should always review your incident response plan with an attorney. The CISA encourages you to meet with your regional CISA team, local law enforcement agencies, and FBI representatives ahead of time. It is best to know how to notify different representatives before an incident, not to wait to find out during the incident. You should also be preparing press responses in advance as part of your incident response plan. These could be generic responses or holds until you can better explain. It is also important to review this plan quarterly. This document should be a living, breathing document that adapts to its environment. Lastly, your incident response plan should be put to the test regularly. Conduct attack simulation exercises to test your plans. You should also have a risk management plan ready for your organization. Risk management solutions should leverage industry standards and best practices to assess hazards from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction of your organization's information systems. Your risk management plan should address the scope of the assessment, roles and responsibilities, compliance criteria and methodology for performing cyber risk assessments. It should include a detailed description of all systems used at your organization based on their function, the data they store and process, and their importance to the organization. Your risk management plan should be reviewed on an annual basis, and you should update it whenever there are significant changes to your information systems or other changes that could change the risk level or add additional risk to your organization. So, how do you know if you have been affected by a data breach? Well, on a personal level, your own personal data you can check at haveibeenpawned.com. That's pawned spelled Pwned, as on the screen. They will be able to cross-search data like your email and usernames with their database of data breaches to check if your data including confidential data such as your passwords, have been exposed, and if so, when. You can also contact any company directly to inquire about past data breaches and your data, as well as a quick Google search should come up with press releases from prior data breaches as well. Otherwise, on an organizational level, here are some common signs and active data breaches occurring. One sign would be unusual network and user activity. Any unusual activity is one of the first indicators of a potential data breach. This can take the form of overwhelming users accessing your site, or a sudden lack of emails, multiple password prompts, massive spam deliveries, etc. Keep an eye on your network logs and invest in intrusion detection systems to quickly identify and respond to abnormal behavior. Unauthorized access is another sure sign of a data breach. Keep a close eye on user accounts and access logs. If you notice unfamiliar user accounts or unauthorized access attempts, that could be a sign of a data breach in process. You should regularly audit user permissions and, as discussed earlier, ensure your policy of least privilege access is being followed. Another sign of data breach in process is unexplained data modification. Any changes to critical data or inexplicitly missing files should be a big red flag. Sudden performance issues can also be a sign of a data breach in process. Attacks such as the denial of service attack can significantly impact your network's speed and reliability. If you notice unexplained slowdowns, it is essential to investigate the root cause. You should also be on the on the lookout for increased phishing attempts, as this can be a red flag of a data breach in process. As emphasized in preventive measures, employee education on social engineering attempts are very important in helping to prevent human error caused by data breaches. Phishing attacks are the second most costly attack vector out there, costing businesses an average of $4.65 million from the subsequent data breaches. So, all your preventive measures have failed, and you failed to stop an active data breach. What now? Well, firstly, secure your operations. Move quickly to secure your systems and fix vulnerabilities that may have caused the breach. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Secure physical areas potentially related to the breach and mobilize your breach response team right away. This team should be spelt out in your incident response plan and may include forensics, legal, information security, information technology, operations, human resources, communications, investor relations, and management. You should take all affected equipment offline immediately to stop any additional data loss, but don't turn any machines off until the forensics experts arrive. Update credentials and passwords of authorized users immediately in case of stolen credentials. Remove any improperly posted information from the web, both on your website and if found on other websites, request those sites to remove that data as well. Interview people who discovered the breach, as well as anyone who may know about it, and most importantly, do not destroy any evidence. In fixing vulnerabilities, think about your service providers. Examine what personal information they can access and decide if you need to change their access privileges. Make sure they are taking the necessary steps to ensure that another data breach does not occur. Check your network segmentation. Work with forensics to analyze whether your segmentation plan was effective in containing the breach to one server or site. In general, working with your forensics experts is very important in determining what vulnerabilities were exploited and how you can fix them. Having a communications plan and anticipating questions people will ask ahead of time is also very important. These things should be thought of before an incident ever occurs in an incident response plan. Be very careful to not make misleading statements regarding the breach or to withhold any information important that may help consumers to protect themselves and their data. Part of your response in dealing with data breaches is going to be in notifying the appropriate parties like law enforcement and affected businesses and individuals. The first step to this will be in determining your legal requirements, which we will go into further detail about in a little bit. You should notify law enforcement and any appropriate government institutions immediately to report your situation and the potential risk for identity theft. You need to then think about notifying individuals. The quicker you notify people, the quicker they can take steps to protect themselves from their data being misused. When notifying individuals, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, recommends that you consult with law enforcement in order to not impede in an investigation. Designate a point person within your organization for releasing information. Consider using letters, websites, and toll-free numbers to communicate with people. And consider offering at least a year of free credit monitoring or other support to people who have been affected by your data breach. Unless your local laws state otherwise, you'll want to clearly describe what you know about the data breach, including how it happened, what information was taken, how the thieves have used the information, what actions you have taken to remedy the situation, what actions you are taking to protect individuals, and how to reach the relevant contacts within your organization. You should tell people what steps they can take to protect themselves and include information on how to recover from identity theft. If the law enforcement agency you are working with agrees, include information on the law enforcement agency working on the case, and encourage people who discover that their information has been misused to report it to the Federal Trade Commission. Also, let the consumers know how you will contact them in the future with updates to help consumers easily find credible information and avoid becoming the victim of phishing scams related to the breach. Very briefly, I will go through some well-known laws regarding data breaches. Laws regarding data breaches can vary depending upon location. Most states in the United States have their own laws regarding data breaches, so you'll have to check with your own state law if you're in the United States, as well as there's many different country-specific laws as well. The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act requires financial institutions that offer consumers financial products or services like loans, financial or investment advice, or insurance to explain their information sharing practices to their consumers and to safeguard sensitive data. Financial institutions need to report data breaches to the Federal Trade Commission. Another financial related law is a standard is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, which exists to address security matters for credit cards. The PCI compliance requirements, securing the IT infrastructure and performing ongoing security risk assessments, security testing, and annual verification that specific risk management functions are being performed, such as annual security awareness training for all employees. They have their own reporting requirements and may require an independent payment card industry forensic investigator, shortened as PFI. Another law that's important to note is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and that aims to protect the privacy and security of health information, otherwise known as HIPAA. And HIPAA has its own notification requirements and may require you to also report the breach to the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Another well-known law is the General Data Protection Regulation. GDPR is one of the toughest privacy and security laws in the world and is a European law. The GDPR applies to you even if you are outside of Europe, as long as you process the personal data of EU citizens or residents, or you offer goods and services to such people. The General Data Protection Regulation applies to you. So it is important to keep up with the different levels of laws. Even if, you know, even looking at ones that might not be where you are located yourself. Understanding how you are to lawfully handle data and how you are to respond when a breach occurs ahead of time cannot be understated. Not knowing can cost your organization big money in fines and loss to credibility. Here we have the references for this presentation, and next I will take you to a demonstration of how you should format and write a notifying letter in case of a data breach. So here, you'll want to start off with the company logo, the date of issuing the letter, notice of data breach, dear individual who is affected. We are contacting you about a data breach that has occurred at your company. And this is where you describe how the data breach happened, the date the data breach happened, and how the stolen information has been misused if you know. For example, an employee of my fake company on Tuesday, the 21st of September, had their password stolen through a phishing attack where the malicious actor posed as their mother demanding their password. I hope you never fall for that. It was through this employee's credentials the My Fake Company newsletter email subscriber list was accessed by the malicious actor. In this next section, you describe what information was involved. In this case, it would be individuals' email addresses and possibly their names. You should then describe what you are doing about it. Describe how you are responding to the data breach. What actions have you taken? What services are you offering individuals affected? The next part of this letter should include what they can do. So, first, what are you doing? Now, what can they do to better protect their data? For example, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, recommends that you place a free fraud alert on your credit file. Consider offering free credit monitoring services to those who are at risk of identity theft due to your data breach. You may want to suggest consumers place a free credit freeze on their credit report as well. And then, as you continue in the letter, here goes in more further important information, specifics. I cannot legally tell you that this was all Deborah's fault in human resources, so don't put that in your letter. Don't put don't put information that can be, don't put identifying information in there. Don't make it worse for people. Also at the bottom should be the contact information of your point of contact within the organization for people to reach out for further information. So who can they contact within your organization, and how can they contact them? And at the end, make sure you have a professional signing off and give your name. All right, and I hope after today you have a better understanding of what a data breach is, and more importantly, how to identify an active one and to respond to one after the fact to minimize damages. All right, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.